All right, hello, and thank you for joining us for the Pando Days 24-25 Spring Term Project premieres. My name is Matthew Manos. I'm the head of a design firm here in Los Angeles, as well as a faculty member at USC and a longtime Pando maniac, of course. Pando Days is the program that turns academic work into real-world solutions for impacting your community and world. All Pando Days premiere events follow a standard format. Each team is given 15 to 20 minutes to present summaries of their projects, followed by about 30 minutes of Q&A from a panel of experts. These events are recorded, and then over the summer, the recordings, along with all the project materials, will be posted on each team's dedicated webpage to be found on the pandopopulous.com website. So be sure to bookmark that. The projects then are judged by a distinguished panel of specialists, and honors and prizes are passed out, as well as networking opportunities galore happening at the Pando Sustainability Awards. So please stay tuned for more details. Today, we're very excited. We'll be hearing from the Mount St. Mary University of Los Angeles. The project is led by Professor Jones and is titled Mount Meadow. The project aims to replace unused campus lawn with a dense native plant meadow that supports local biodiversity and strengthens ecological connections to the Santa Monica Mountains. I can't wait to hear more. And Adrian, it's wonderful to have you and your team here. We're going to give the floor over to you for your presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Matthew. I am going to share my screen and share my presentation. Um, Give me a sec. Hopefully everyone can see it. Good. Shrink us out of the way here. Move all the things out of the way. Okay, great. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm excited for our conversation that will happen after, and I'm excited for the opportunity to share about our project. So, yeah, I am a professor at Mount St. Mary's University here in Los Angeles. We have two campuses. One in Brentwood, kind of opposite the Getty hillside that connects to the Santa Monica Mountains, and that's where this project takes place. And then we have another campus that's more downtown, kind of by where USC is. And so on the Mount St. Mary's University team, me, Dee, who's on the call with us today, she is a graduated last year, and now we've hired her as our sustainability coordinator, and she's been really integral into this project. So she'll be able to be a part of the Q&A, and some students, Parker, Pri, and Mia, and then our head of facilities, John Deeb, has been a really key partner in getting these spaces transformed on campus. And then this project could not have happened at all without a partnership, a community partnership with the Malibu Foundation. With Evelyn Weber, she was the head of the foundation, and we started working with her. And the Malibu Foundation had these amazing interns through the California Climate Action Corps, Talissa, Taylor, and Jonah. And I think, Taylor, you're here on the call, which is great. And Talissa and Taylor and Jonah have been so amazing to work with. They're so awesome. They're so dedicated, so much knowledge. And so this was a really cool project because it had students at the campus, and then recent alums that were part of this California Climate Action Corps, like recent college graduates. So it was a really cool project, and I absolutely loved working with them, and I could not have done it without them. And that's you, Taylor, right there, planting away. Okay. So this project, whoops, there we go. So building off of last year's project really started some momentum on campus. So last year's project, we removed this kind of water intensive garden area with drought tolerant and native plants. And this is what it looks like today. This is what it looked like before, and it looks so beautiful. And it really got our campus thinking about ways to conserve water, ways to transform spaces. And last year's project also, this is when we were planning it, right? We had a student, an art student and bio student made a rendering of what it would look like. This is us weeding it just last month. So we're still taking care of the garden. And the school magazine wrote an article about it. And we actually won second place last year for this transformative project. And one of the things that was great about this project was it set up a model for us working with campus partners to make this happen. And so we followed this model again this year with some additional adjustments that are here in purple. So we kind of found other campus initiatives that we could be a part of. So we are part of the Laudato Si, we're a Catholic university, so we're part of the Laudato Si Action Platform. We are getting ready to get our sustainability rating from AASHE. So this project fit in nicely with that. Really exciting this year, we had a community partner with Malibu Foundation to have extra creativity, extra work, extra knowledge. So that's been amazing to work with those California Climate Fellows as part of the Malibu Foundation. We continued to collect data. We used our sensors. We looked at the soil microbes. We also used community science platforms to characterize the biodiversity. And then one thing we had to do this year was kind of pivot. We had originally thought we would build the garden, the native plant meadow or microforest in the footprint of our new wellness center or gym, but that we couldn't do that because that had to be landscaped according to the original plan. So then we had to pivot to a new location. So working with our campus partners, we found a new location, and we're still working on transforming the space. So this model has been really great for us. That we built out the last 2 years as part of the Pando project. We're continuing to use it. And again, so part of our planning is just imagining and creating a resilient and sustainable campus. So these are how our project fits in with the county's sustainability goals of a resilient and healthy community and thriving ecosystems, habitats, and biodiversity. And again, two projects, initiatives on campus that this project dovetails nicely with are the Laudato Si and our sustainability tracking assessment rating. Okay. And just thinking about our campus and where it's located, right? Our campus is adjacent to the Santa Monica Mountains. We have a hiking trail to the Santa Monica Mountains from our campus, and we have felt the brunt of the droughts and the wildfires. So the Getty Fire in 2019 caused significant damage to our campus. And then again, the Malibu Fire in 2024 and Palisades Fire in 2025 didn't damage our campus, but it did get really close, and our campus was closed for several weeks. And so it did affect our campus community. And this is just a graph of drought in Los Angeles County. So you can see that for the last 25 years, right, we've been in a drought more than we haven't. Even as early as January, we were in a moderate drought. And then this is a really beautiful quote from last year's project by a student, Sam. Our goal with this garden was to create a space that not only showcases the beauty of California native plants, but also strengthens our campus resilience to climate challenges. By incorporating native species, we are supporting local biodiversity, conserving water, and fostering a more sustainable community for everyone. So I thought that was a really, really beautiful quote. And this is the location that we transformed this year. So it was a 1,400 square foot grass, not really what maintained, but it did already have sprinkler system in there, but just grasses and clovers and weeds, and no one really does anything with it. This is, I think this is Tulsa here. We're getting some preliminary data here. So not used for anything, had to be maintained, mowed, that kind of thing, but just kind of a plain area on campus. So this is our spot that we located to be our to transform into the native plant meadow. And so we did some preliminary. So because I'm a biologist and environmental scientist, so, we love data. So we did some pre measurements, and we hope to keep doing these measurements. So we took soil pH, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. We looked at how many fungal spores were in there, because these are the mutualistic symbiotic fungal spores that help plants get nutrients, right? So healthy soil is around 50. Ours is a little depleted, but we hope that as we grow these native plants and tend to the soil, this will go back up. We're also interested in the microbial community. So we collected some DNA for sequencing. And then as the meadow develops, we will keep measuring these parameters and see how it changes and develops. We also, with the Climate Fellows, so with Taylor and Celissa and Jonah, and then also Dee and some Mount St. Mary students, we did a hike in the Santa Monica Mountains that are, so here's our campus, and here's, we just up here is where we were hiking, right in the Santa Monica Mountains, and we did an iNaturalist cataloged the plants in the Santa Monica Mountains, because we hope that our meadow will be like an island of biodiversity for those species that are in the Santa Monica Mountains. And so this is Taylor's. She did this project. She's so knowledgeable about native plants, and it was just amazing to have her on this project. And this is an open project, so you can check it out. So we characterized, we had 45 different plants that we identified that are very close to campus. We also did a little eBird recording to see what birds are out there on the hike. So these are some of the birds we might expect to come to our meadow once it's developed. And I do have the link to the, let's see, I don't know if you can hear. It might be hard to hear on Zoom, but we have the recording, and then these are the different species. So Taylor also great at birds. She's such a naturalist and such a great wealth of information there. So we have a catalog of our biodiversity. Right. We also continued to use the sensors that we've been using. So we had them out multiple days. And so I'm just going to give you some snapshots of the parameters. So these are some measurements from November through May of the area. So these are the soil temperatures, right? On warmer days, the soil is obviously warmer. Cooler days, different colors represent a different day. I didn't put the legend on here because it got really busy, but that doesn't really matter for this presentation, just kind of so we can get a feel for what the temperature shift is to make informed decision when planting our plants. Same thing for soil moisture. We hit some rainy days. You can see when the rain came up. But the soil moisture, if it's been between rains or between waterings, the moisture is around 10% after a rain, or when it's been watered, it's a little bit higher, but we can get the moisture levels, and we can continue to track these as the meadow develops. And then the amount of sunlight it gets, right? It was behind a dorm, so it doesn't get sunlight all day long. So you can see it gets a lot of nice morning light. And then, the sun goes behind that wall, and it kicks down. So we got the levels of sunlight, which is important for choosing the plants. And then part of the planning, right? We had to kind of map out the space and plan what plants are going to be in there. So I think this is also Taylor's little map of the space. So it's not exactly a perfect rectangle. It's a bit of a strange shape there. And these were some of the plants that we were thinking of. We pivoted a little bit of different shrubs. We're not going to plant any canopy trees after all, because it is so close to a dorm. There could be a risk of a fire ladder or something like that. So we again pivot. No canopy trees. So instead of a micro forest, it's going to be more of like a meadow. So we're going to stick to the shrubs and perennials and sub trees and bushes and that type of thing. And then we removed the grass. So here we did have to contract with an outside landscaping company that we use, that the Mount St. Mary's uses for other things, because it was important to us to remove the grass manually and not use any herbicides or anything like that. So we brought them in and they dug out the grass, removed the grass. So here's before when the grass was removed. And then then the students, the climate fellows and me and the students, we kind of dug the little holes to prepare for the planting event. And then we made an event out of it to coincide with our Earth Day celebration on campus. So Talissa helps organize this. So she organized this and made this flyer with the Eco Club. And we encourage students to come out after the Earth Day event and plant. And so this is this is a great picture of one of our plantings. So Taylor taught us all how to make the little moat around them, and we planted the little seedlings. And there's some more pictures of the planting, right? So the students out here planting the plants. And this is great. So Malibu Foundation provided the plants. They had a nursery and connections, and so very grateful for them for providing the plants. For this first round of planting that we did on Earth Day, we had some coyote brush, some sawtooth golden brush, and mugwort and narrowleaf milkweed. And then we have plans to get additional plants, which I think have been recently dropped off, and we will be planting more next week, I hope. So this is the plan and what we have. This is another picture of the planting. These are Mount St. Mary's students, Pri, Mia, and Parker. And for our next steps, we will continue to plant. Students will continue to use sensors to collect data, monitor for the biodiversity. Are we seeing some of the same insects and birds in our meadow as we see in the Santa Monica Mountains? Put some signs out there to make it, to tell the community about the ecology of native plants. So we really want this space to do two purposes. One, to be like a living laboratory for classes, like biology classes, environmental science classes, to study the health of the soil, the health of the plants. And another thing, we want it to be really a calm area as part of our wellness initiative on campus, where we hope, to put a bench back there where people can sit in this natural landscape and just reflect and have a very little oasis from their busy days. So hopefully it'll be able to develop into those two things. And then just a huge thank you. Obviously, the Malibu Foundation and California Climate Action Corps we were partners in this with the university. The Eco Club on campus was a major part of this. The Finley's Landscaping, we paid them, we contracted them out to remove it, but they removed the grass just like we wanted and did it really quickly. And then, of course, thank you to the Pando Populist team for supporting this work and encouraging us to keep working on projects. And I appreciated my regular meetings with Eugene, always giving good ideas and support. So now I'm excited to talk with everyone about the project. So that's all, yeah, for me.
All
Um,
right, fantastic, Adrian. Thank you so much. I love seeing this process, and the process itself is a learning tool to understand, especially your data-driven approach, just
yeah.
so interesting. And being able to see over the Pando seasons, you patch by patch transform the campus makes
Yeah.
me really excited to see what the campus will look like 10 years from now, as well. So, so now we're going to hear from our panel. We've got about a half hour. And that'll be for just an informal back and forth on the project itself. How might we assess it? Where do you think it could go from here to make the most impact, et cetera. And with us today, we have Pamela, Tom, and Sarah. Pamela Brief and Tom Rao, a fun fact about them is that they're both connected to the Extension Landscape Architecture program at UCLA. And through that, are co-leading a Pando Days team of their own as well. So really excited to have them here together. Pamela is a licensed landscape architect and president and founder of Pamela Studios Incorporated. She has developed award-winning domestic and international projects for major firms, including Walt Disney Imagineering. Super cool. Tom is also a licensed landscape architect. He's a principal at Urban Water Group, which is a design build landscape architecture firm specializing in drought resilient landscapes. So, perfect perspective for today. And then we have Sarah Kevorkian. Sarah was trained as a civil engineer and is currently working for the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority, where she's leading wildfire, trail, and park programs and projects to fight climate change. The MRCA includes regions of responsibility adjacent to the Mount St. Mary's Chalone campus. Thank you for joining us. Why don't we start, Pamela, with you? And then we'll go from there with a free-flowing discussion. But yeah, Pamela, any observations or questions on your end?
Well, first, congratulations to you and your team on this lovely project. And what a great initiative that you are, like, bit by bit tackling these, manageable portions with, I'm assuming, an ultimate goal of much beautification across your campus and sustainability and resiliency too. I mean, I really commend you on what you're doing. Um, as far as, I mean, I don't have a lot of questions, really, because your presentation was very clear and very succinct. What I love is that you really built on what you did the prior years, and you really formulate. I mean, I see the science in you, landscape architecture. I mean, in landscape architecture, those of us in the profession, we are science geeks as well as designers. So we kind of fold the two together into our profession. And, I love good data. There's nothing better than that to support the realities. So I love that you're approaching it in that manner. And it was great to see, although I didn't necessarily understand what was going on with some of the graphs, to be honest, without the legend. But your explanation helped in that. The only thing I would say is maybe adding the legend would be
Oh,
helpful.
sure. It was just a lot. Yeah, the legends are just different days, right? That we
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they just got a little crowded. But yeah, I can definitely add those back because it is seasonal differences, right?
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. I love a legend.
No, I mean, I
And
wouldn't
I'm visual
speak to my
too, so
students, I
that,
guess, without it. I
yeah,
just was like busy. I was like, oh, it might be busy for the presentation without it. But yes, of course. Yeah.
yeah. No worries. No, it was
Mhm.
great. That data was great information, and I loved seeing it. Um, the goals of native material, the biodiversity, um, conservation of water, and that fostering of community. I loved those as, just really succinct goals for your project. And loved the fungal spore data. That was awesome. I loved seeing that. I mean, there's nothing. I think one of the things that both Tom and I talk about, we teach back to back courses at UCLA, and so he teaches a plants class before me, and then we take the same project, which happened to be at the Pando site, Our Ladies project, and then we take it into my class to do a planting plan, and we're always talking about healthy soils. So I think bringing that into the fold, I mean, the more of us that are talking about that and getting that out into the public realm, the better, because it really, I mean, you could have a great design, but if your soils doesn't have a certain level of health or encouraged health through mycorrhizal fungi or whatever you're putting into the soil, you're really fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah. Oh, I
Um,
love that you incorporate the healthy soil and the microbes in your.
yes, yes, and into practice too. Um, with our clients. So excellent on, and definitely you could not have taken care of all of that turf on your own. You needed
Right.
someone else, and that you were smart enough to do that and not try to do that yourself. I
No.
applaud you on that. Yeah. And not using any pesticides.
Yeah.
Extra big gold stars on that
Yes.
one. So everything about this made me very happy.
Thank you. Can I ask you a question
great.
real quick? When you do you do amendments with the mycorrhizae ever with your projects? I'm just being curious. Yeah.
Oh yeah. For me, for us, we try to not do a
Okay.
lot of amending
Yep.
with native soil and especially with the native planting.
Uh-huh.
I think there's different schools of thought. I would love to hear Tom's thought on that
Okay.
as
Yeah.
well. But I really like introducing the mycorrhizae fungi, and sometimes there's biochar that can be
Mhm.
added in as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
But we kind of lay low on trying to add a lot of amendment to the soil, especially with native
Mm-hmm.
plants, and especially and we also try to source our native plants as close to the source as possible.
Yeah, that's what we did as well. Okay,
Yeah.
so you don't typically do the because I saw that I was just looking, and there's so many different products out there people sell of different mixes of microbes, and I just wondered your opinion on it.
Yeah, that is mine. I try to keep it fairly simple, but I
Okay.
know
No.
Tom and Urban Water Group have done a little bit more, I think, on that.
Okay.
So
Great.
it might
Thanks.
be a great segue to him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
no,
Thank
that's
you.
perfect. Yeah,
Thanks.
Tom, let's get you into the mix. What are you thinking?
Sure. Adrian, great job. Love the project. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. Um, it's very in line with what we do professionally. To answer your question about mycorrhizae, the product we like is called Myco Apply, and you can get endo and ecto mycorrhizae soluble applications. They're easy to apply. Generally, what you do is you dunk the root ball into a bucket with that material, and then you plant it. It definitely helps. We certainly recommend it. And I definitely concur with Pamela was saying, with respect to native plants, you don't want to do a lot of amending to the soil itself because they generally like lean, poor soils. But we usually put a couple of inches of good compost from Agromin. Agromin 100 is the one we generally like, and till that into the soil. And what that essentially does is that loosens it up, and it helps with infiltration. And of course, the most important thing is it kicks up the bio party in the soil,
Mhm.
which we is the most important thing. And forget the fertilizers. You don't need Miracle Grow. You don't need all that
Mhm.
chemical stuff.
No.
Because what happens is that kills off mycorrhizae, and that
Mhm.
destroys the
Yeah.
soil party that you're trying to build so much. I would love to hear more about your biological assessments and stuff that you guys did as part of your data-driven analysis. Obviously, we don't have time for that, and I think you could improve your graphs a bit on that for your presentation. The one service that we use frequently, and I recommend it if you're not familiar with it, is EarthFort.
Hmm.
EarthFort Labs up in Corval in Oregon. They will provide for you a biological soil test,
Oh, okay.
and it will give you exactly the things that you were talking about, the ratio of fungal to bacterial activity, as well as the other microbes, and and it gives you just a really good sense of the balance of the biology within the soil. And what would be fascinating is that if you did the test now
Mm-hmm.
and then have another one in about 6 months
Yeah.
and then do another one in a year from now, you'll be able to track the changes in those populations
Yeah.
relative to each other.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is that it needs to change from typically it's highly bacterial or highly bacterial, and then it changes to fungal as you get
Mm-hmm.
more plant material and more organic matter into the soil. And it just tells a beautiful story that
Yeah.
you're seeing things kick up. So
Yeah. No,
anyway,
that's what we. Wait, sorry, it was called Earth Fort,
Earth
F-O-R-T.
Earth Fort, yes, and check them out. And Dr. Elaine Ingham is the guru of compost and
Okay.
biological testing up there, and she's been running that for a long time. So it's a
Okay.
wonderful resource.
Great. Yeah, we were that would be, yeah, awesome. And then also we hope to have the students do it too. I'm a microbiologist,
Mm,
so that's why we collected some DNA
mm,
samples and we would do some of that
mm.
community analysis as part of a class project as well. So yeah, we'll definitely I'll check them out as well. That would be cool.
That's awesome, and they get into nematodes and root feeders
Oh,
and
neat. Yeah. Oh,
all
cool.
those
I'm gonna definitely
kinds.
check them out. That's great. That sounds so fun. Yeah, awesome.
Which you'll definitely, because you understand that stuff. So, yeah, that's great. Just a couple other questions. Did you guys consider firescaping at all besides putting trees up against the building, pulling
Um,
things back at all, or?
well, there are some
Mm,
eucalyptus that we would love to remove. So that is part of down the line with, obviously removing a tree is a little bit costly, or it can be. So,
Mhm.
and then
mm,
it's
mm,
also kind of up on a hillside, so we have to balance stabilizing the hillside with tree removal. But it's
Mhm.
on the kind of wish list to remove the eucalyptus for sure. Yeah, but that's the only, I think that's the only thing we've really targeted as a fire like kind of hazard in that area, if you will.
One of the things that we do a lot of firescaping, have to
Okay,
do
yeah.
fuel modifications for fire department review. And they have currently now what they call an ember resistant zone, which is the first 5 feet from the building
Oh,
that
yes. Yeah.
you want to maintain free of material. But there's
Yeah.
also plants within zone A that you could look at and say these comply. They're typically herbaceous or non-woody
Okay.
plants, and they have a low fuel load. Just
Okay.
another good thing to layer onto your data.
Great.
Um,
Yeah. We're definitely
mm,
5 feet away from the building with where the project starts. Yeah, because
mm,
there's a little walkway right next to the
mm.
building.
Mm, Perfect.
In the last thing, I love the fact that you guys did soil temperature monitoring. That's
Mhm.
terrific. Um, it would be it would be wonderful to see if you could show the soil temperature when you planted, or if you maybe you measured it in April,
Mhm.
and then show it increasing, over time, and then it'll start to decrease again in October.
Mhm.
And typically the roots grow when the soil is cooling, and then
Mm.
during the cool season, and then once they set roots, as soon as the soil temperature starts to warm up, then plants will start to grow leaves. It's sort of
Oh, neat.
their
Okay.
natural rhythm. And if you could
Okay.
tie that together with observations as to how your plant is growing and show that these things are happening concurrently with the
Cool.
soil temperatures, I think it'd be a wonderful story to tell.
Yeah, oh, that's really neat. How is there a way that to measure the
Mm.
roots growing, or we would just
Mm. Generally, what happens is if the native plants, you plant them in the site, well, it's not growing. I don't see anything happening. It
oh,
means that the roots are growing because
right, the
you can't
energy
see
is
what's
going into the
happening.
roots.
It's
Yeah.
going down. Mhm.
And then
And
once it changes,
yeah,
and
that would
then
be
it
great.
starts to leaf out.
Yeah. Do you
Um,
have a tool that you use to measure how the leaf
mm.
growing or like
It- just empirically, yeah,
okay.
by making
Yeah.
observations and
Okay.
measuring the plant size and showing the
Plants.
growth
Okay, sure.
rates.
Yeah, yeah. I just didn't know if there was
Yeah,
a fun
yeah.
tool or something. Okay. Okay.
Leafometer or
We need to
something.
create one, Tom, a leaf
Yeah,
measurer, like a caliper measurer, but for leaves.
yeah.
Yeah, just curious. Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, those sensors are really robust and they collect
Mhm.
data continuously, so we can leave them out all day. So that's what the
Mm.
graphs were, is like the time of
Mhm.
day on the x-axis. So we can see how it changes throughout the day. And then of course it's part of a student project. We just throw them out
Mhm.
there and we don't have to, campus is like a closed campus, so we can leave them out there and they won't be disturbed or anything like that. So yeah, we'll be able to get seasonal data for sure.
Well, that's
Yeah.
cool.
You graph that over a monthly timeline, I think it would be a powerful,
Yeah.
and then flag when you planted, and then
Yep.
mapped it against the plant growth. And you'll see it'll really kick up next October when,
Oh, neat.
things get fully established. So
That's neat. Yeah.
really great project though.
Thanks, Tom. Let's throw it to Sarah.
For sure. Hi, Adrian. Thank you so much for that presentation. It was very clear and thorough. I don't have so many questions, and my background, I'm not a biologist, I'm not a landscape architect, and I could follow everything really clearly. And I think that's actually also an important element of your presentation. So you did a really great job in that. I'm really interested in coming from more fire planning and working in managing land and all that, especially in light of the Palisades and Eaton fires and so many others. I am really intrigued in how we're using sort of these smaller native gardens around LA to actually use it for community education. We're seeing a lot of sort of public native gardens that are engaging folks, and they're really kind of activating these areas that haven't before. And we're seeing, not just education related to native gardens, but firescaping or home hardening, like just using the space for education. And I'm curious because you have a few of these projects that have been underway for a few years. If you ever plan to use any past or future projects to continue to do more community engagement. I really love that there was community kind of engagement in the planting, and they were involved. So I'm just curious if there's any other like long-term plans for that.
So in the and Dee can speak a little bit about this too. In the garden that I showed at the beginning from last year's project, that's really nicely. It looks so good. Like it's nicely filled out. It blooms. And we are working on putting signs there, and we hope to have some community events there. Like some of those plants we could make. They're the you can steep them and make like iced tea and like infused water. So we hope to have like a little events with like come have a spa water and learn about the plants, or have some more community events there, right? Dee, what other ideas do we have for that space?
Yeah, definitely. The Cleveland sage and the yarrow are both plants that have been used for teas. So we've debated doing like a tea and cookies event with the teas from the garden. We also have a lemonade berry bush, which once it gets a bit bigger, so maybe in 2, 3 years, would be really great for a propagation kind of workshop, because you just kind of it's one of those plants where you can snip the like a good long or a good thick piece of stick, and then it'll propagate on its own. So that's a activity that we're hoping to introduce. And then I've also been kind of collecting seeds that I recognize that are okay, these are ready to go. I'll collect them and I'll put them in Dr. Jones' lab with the hope that maybe one day we'll have students make like their own little seed packets or like native plant seed bombs or things like that that they could take home and plant in their own gardens. But yeah, it definitely opens up a lot of educational opportunities.
Yeah, we've designed the signs for that area. It's just a matter of now figuring out the printing of them. So hopefully soon those will be printed.
That's great. I don't have any other questions or comments. I'm just always like interested in how the community is engaged during and after. And
Yeah.
so this is awesome. Congratulations again.
And then the meadow one, we hope to make it because the other garden is right on kind of the main road onto campus, so it's not particularly a quiet place where you would want to have a bench and sit. But the new garden, the new meadow is, so we hope that and we have a new wellness, like a new gym and this wellness movement. So we're hoping that we could kind of have maybe a forest bathing workshop, or just kind of a meditation area and sitting in there and enjoying the beauty there, because it's a very quiet spot on campus already.
And also, hi, I would like to add on something. My name is Mary, and I feel like also really having, like, just trying to have a reasoning to why we should do this. Like, we can try to help students really motivate or try to help them understand why it's beneficial to them. Like we can say, okay, this calms down your anxiety, or research shows that if you do plant and stuff like that, it calms your anxiety down and your stress down. So really just constantly, consistently reminding students and people in general, consumers or anybody, to why this is really important.
Yeah, that's a great, yeah, students, obviously college students experience a lot of stress. So tying that in would be great. Absolutely. Thank you, Mary. Yeah.
Me
I
maybe
love.
hop in here.
Oh yeah, Eugene. I was just
Sorry,
gonna
yep.
say if there's anything anybody else out there, we got a few more minutes.
Well, I just want to make an observation. This is such an interesting project to me on lots of levels, all those that people have mentioned, but including the fact that, Adrian, you have seen your campus as your community partner, or as one of the
Yeah.
community partners.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. It's a wonderful thing to do. One model of Panda Days projects is to find a community partner out there somewhere in the real world, and then you work there. Another one is exactly what you're doing and saying, well, let's partner with our own campus and our own administration and see
Yeah.
what we can push. And extremely practical, extremely useful, all that kind of stuff. Um, Now that you're starting to get a number of projects on campus that are pushing forward in this way, uh, what is what is your master plan for the campus? What's your strategy?
Yeah, well, we're hoping to get, and part of this is we're hoping to get a formal sustainability kind of office on campus. We don't have that right now in a position. We hired this past year to kind of show that there's a lot of work to be done in coordination across these departments and things like that. So we hope that there'll be a formal office that can help bridge these campus partners, right? So we can do other projects on campus. One thing that's happening is at our Doheny campus, which is the downtown campus, where it's very urban, and there it's a historical property. So some of you can't do too much with the landscaping there because it is very historical and there's some strict things there. But we are putting in a small area. They're putting in with the Tongva and Chumash, they're putting in a cultural garden there on campus as a partnership there, which is a really exciting thing that's coming down the line. So I think that as people, see it, see the transformation, see that it can happen, see how beautiful it looks too, in the end, I think hopefully there'll be more transformation projects on campus.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I'm sorry. I would like to add one more thing. Is that okay?
Yeah.
In Casted LA, we have this thing called hydrogen, and me and my class, because I've been working with marketing, sustainability, and stuff like that. And Cal State LA has the largest hydrogen station in the country, I think. And it's really about sustainability. And I feel like we already have gotten started. We just need to push more, a little bit more. But I feel like we are in a like great, good path. We just need a little bit of more push and having different approaches. And yeah, so just having different approaches, different strategies to how you should approach.
Yeah, coming at it from lots of different entities on campus. Yeah, I will say that yeah, Eugene, you're right. Having facilities work together with them has made these projects happen. I think sometimes on some campuses, it's like the academic side and the facility side are kind of on opposite ends, right? But working together, it's been great to work with them. So building those relationships is the only way these projects have gotten off the ground, right? We wouldn't have been able to do it without those partnerships.
And I think, and I do 100% believe that it's going to happen. Like it only takes time, but there is going to be improvement no matter what. Like nothing is going to uh, stop us at all.
Love it. Let's go over to Betsy.
Wonderful presentation, Adrian and everybody. I'm just really thrilled to see this grow over the years. You've done a wonderful job. I'm a home gardener who knows nothing about science. So the data was really fascinating. I mean, I loved the whole fungal score thing, all those different things that affect what we're growing. That was news to me. And as a kind of an outsider, that was really, really good to see. I love the hike with the eBird recordings in addition to researching the plants out there. That was cool. I wondered in the area where you were talking about having a bench, a seating area, if you were going to kind of make that a focal point, because it looked like kind of just a big bleak, all the same area. If you were going to try and do an arch or a pergola or a walkway through an arch or something like that to give it a little visual oomph.
Yeah, so where it's located, there's one entrance, you go down a bunch of stairs to it, and then the other one is up this little hill that actually has a little, I didn't have it in the picture, but it has a little, doesn't it have a little archway, Dee?
I know it's got like a kind of wooden side border, but I don't think it has like a full
Right.
arch. But I think the tree
Oh,
next to it makes it look like it's
look
kind
like
of
an arch,
arching.
right? So
But
that
there's
would be a
definitely the
cute
ability to
place
put
for
one
an
in.
arch, yeah, and a sign. So we envisioned that because you can walk up from the road, and we envisioned, yeah, a little archway welcoming people to it. And then it does have a little stepping stone footpath along the side already, and then one tree that we're not going to remove that has a cement perimeter around it, so we could get one of those like arced curved benches around the tree, maybe that would sit out and look at it or something like that. Maybe that would be because there's already the cement there that we could place it on.
Great,
But
great.
yeah, I agree. Some kind of sign, definitely that will be on the future. Some kind of sign welcoming people, letting people know what it is, and then having that kind of programming there. Absolutely.
That would be nice. That would be
Yeah.
great because it's so nice to kind of sit under a little sheltering bunch of
Yeah.
vines or whatever growing up. Great. Wonderful presentation, Adrian. Good to see you.
Thanks, Betsy. Nice to see you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, team. This was great. I want to give a thanks to our panel, Pamela, Tom, and Sarah, for your comments, question, insights, as well as Eugene and Betsy for jumping in, and Adrian and the rest of the team from Mount St. Mary's. Really great work. I'm really excited to see the next steps. And to Eugene's point a little earlier, see how this starts building into a master plan for the whole campus. I could totally see how this can become a interconnected experience as well. So our next premiere event, it's in roughly a week, and it takes place Wednesday, May 21st at 10 a.m. We'll be hearing from Cal State University, Los Angeles. It's a great one to tune into. For now, I want to say thank you for joining us, and until then, Pando on, everybody.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. And I would just, obviously everyone's invited to come to campus. So Sarah, I don't know if you're ever in those Santa Monica Mountains up there, but we are right by there. And if you're folks at UCLA, it's not that bad of a drive if you're on campus. So everyone is welcome to come to campus to look at last year's project and see how this one is coming together. Or I'd love to go on we could go on a hike in the Santa Monica Mountains whenever. Just I'd love to connect in person too. And Eugene, we've been inviting you. Want to get you out there too.
I'll do it.
Great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you all, everyone. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So
Bye, everyone.
have a great day,
Thank
everybody.
y'all.